Yo, what's up everybody? It's Jubilee and we just got the April 18th patch. We've been anticipating this, excited for it for a long time. There's been a big build up. Did it live up to our hopes and dreams? We're going to find out here. There were some balance changes that were pretty big. A few changes to the shop, as you can see here. So now you have your weekly spotlight card. It's still going to cost 6,000 tokens. It cannot be pinned, and it's going to be right there in your shop for a week. So you have a week to purchase this card if you have the appropriate tokens for it. For right now, it is Jeff. Jeff has arrived. And then if you look on the side here, we also have the ultimate variant. So that's going to still rotate in the typical shop rotation, but it's only going to be ultimate variants. I think that's pretty fresh. I dig it. I love how this looks too and how it works. Then you have your series 4 and 5 card. This is not series 3, so it's always going to be those series 4 and 5, whichever ones you do not own are going to rotate there. So that is the new token shop. There were a few other changes, such as like infinite players can only play infinite players, a bit of changes to the board in the game, but really I just want to cover the balance changes because I think those are the most exciting. So we're going to get to it right now. All right, and starting it off, we have Shuri. She has finally been changed. We've been wanting this for a very long time, but did they hit the mark? So it's actually a change that I've seen the community talk about a lot on stream. Everybody kind of suggested this. I think it's pretty fresh. So Shuri is a 4/2 on reveal. If you play your next card here, double its power. Boom. Okay, so basically the same effect thematically, right? Except now you're position locked. You have to play the card that you want to double at the Shuri location. This has multiple implications for your opponent to kind of counter your plays, right? Because you're going to be playing there, because I know you're going to be playing there, I can lock up other positions. I can set up other positions, maybe a Cosmo further off in a different lane to like kind of narrow your options with Taskmaster. But even better is like a Professor X or Spider-Man or something like that, where I can lock up the location and win it because I know you're not going to put that fat red skull at that location, right? Now, I feel like there's still a really good line of play with Shuri where you armor and then you Shuri, your red skull, and then you Taskmaster off of it. And like that line of play still exists, still has that same power output, but you're slightly more restricted. So I think the deck might still be relevant, but the card has been changed so that there is some more counterplay involved. You can also move the cards around. I want to do some science and see how it works with Juggernaut, etc. Because even though I think everyone probably understands that when you play a card there, if it's moved, you still played the card there, so it would still receive the doubling of that buff. But there are some weird implications that I tested with Negasonic Teenage Warhead, where like if cards are moved with like Juggernaut, for instance, then the played ability doesn't quite activate, it doesn't quite work. So I want to test some things out, but for the most part, I think it's going to be pretty consistent. You play a card there, it gets doubled, and then you're going to have to figure out your turn 6. Otherwise, I think this is a good change. We're going to see how it plays out if the deck is still too strong, but this is a step in the right direction. Oh my goodness, Leech, is that you? What have they done to you? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think this is a pretty heavy-handed nerf. At least as much as you could do while maintaining the ability of the card. Okay, so Leech is still a 5/3. He's still going to remove all the abilities from cards in your opponent's hand, but it's going to occur at the start of turn 6. So why does this matter? Why do I think this is going to kill this card? Well, you know, if you still pay 5 energy on turn 5, you're still going to get the same effect. If anything, it could be a potential buff because Cosmo cannot remove the on reveal of this card. So you can't whiff. It's guaranteed. But here's the thing. I think in almost every scenario with Leech, you want to cheat out this card. You don't want to pay the 5 cost for it. You want to wave it out. You want to Lockjaw it out. Jubilee, you name it. You want to get the cheat to get this card out to zap your opponent's hand so that they don't have a turn 6 and they don't have a turn 5 and they're hoping they top deck something and they just retreat. Now your opponent knows it's coming. They can play out their cards and figure out their turns prior to that Leech turn, unless you pay basically the premium price of playing it on turn 5. 5 energy for 3 power, and yeah, you remove the abilities of your opponent's hand for turn 6, which is still the most important turn. So that's why I've got it in the middle there, because honestly, I don't know, like, yeah, that's still pretty strong, still pretty toxic, but I really truly believe that all of Leech's strength came from being cheated out early, and this is going to completely ruin him. But there's a few cards that were also changed that have big implications for Leech, okay? So one of them is Lockjaw, his good old buddy Lockjaw. Oh man, so Lockjaw, after you play a card here, swap it with a card in your deck, now it has the added attacks of once per turn. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this actually has some pretty neat, differences. Okay, so the one I was just describing with Leech, even if you roll Leech out now, it's not going to be that great. If anything, it's kind of brutal because now you're only just setting up for a later turn to zap the enemy. So I don't know if that's all that good, but let's think about just other Lockjaw combos, right? You play Wasp, you play whatever. Maybe it's a discard deck where you play multiple swarms. Well, you're only going to get one flip now. You can still play multiple cards there though. So this is actually almost a good thing because you ever had those scenarios where you wanted to play 2 cards to the Lockjaw location, you wanted to cycle 1, maybe your Wasp, but then you wanted to play something else like, I don't know, like Magneto or whatever, or like some big card. And now you can, because if it's the second card, it's not going to swap. It'll stay there. It'll actually stay at the Lockjaw location. So in a way, it could be actually pretty good. Sometimes you get restricted and your opponent like made play so that you can only play cards at the Lockjaw location. And you're like, shoot, I guess I'm just gambling now. I'm hoping I roll well. Well, now it's just once per turn. So if anything, it could be perceived as a buff, but I think for the most part, what you really wanted to do with Lockjaw is you wanted to run it in like a Thanos deck with the stones and get some crazy cycles going, move Lockjaw maybe, and keep doing that, and like just all kinds of things like that. So the Thanos Lockjaw deck has taken multiple hits, and I think this is the final one to actually put the deck in a reasonable spot. I think it was already in a reasonable spot, but this has furthered it into like, okay, pretty fair, especially with the Leech change too. Like now we're at a fair point. But hey, that's not all. We got some buffs. Now I have to explain this one really quickly, but there's not really a big change. So Jubilee, before in beta, had this exact same text. On reveal, add the top card of your deck to this location. So the reason they removed that was because at the time, America Chavez, who was 10 power, would rest at the top of your deck, and then you would draw it on turn 6. So if you played Jubilee, it was a guaranteed 10 power pull on America Chavez. It was very strong at that time. Now, they actually changed Chavez's text. I'm not even going to show you guys because it's really the same thing. She's just going to always be at the bottom of your deck, which actually has implications for like Cable, for instance. But regardless, she's always going to be at the bottom of your deck, and then you draw her on turn 6. Okay, so that's America Chavez. Jubilee now says at the top, add the top card of your deck to this location. So whatever's at the top. In tandem now, they actually still have some pretty neat synergies, because now if you know America Chavez is at the bottom, you play Jubilee, you only have like 3 or 4 cards left in your deck. You know one of them is America Chavez. You can then pull one of 3 of the other ones. It narrows in your odds on what you're going to pull, and maybe that's pretty good. So anyways, a neat little text change there, but not too many heavy implications. Bro, okay, what? Here we go. We're back with Leader. Leader has been basically reverted. This dude has seen every power total under the sun, I swear. Like he's gone from 7, 4, 3, now he's a 2. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Leader is now a 6/2. On reveal, copy the enemy card, or plural cards, with the highest power played this turn, but on your side. My goodness, we are back with Leader. So this is pretty good in my opinion. Okay, so before you could copy all of the cards. Now it's just going to be the highest power cards. But there's ways, you know. I'm talking about like Wave, for instance, where you can make it so that your opponent can only play 1 card that turn, and that guarantees it going to be the highest power thing. And there you go. You're going to copy it. Boom. If you're already in a winning state, you're going to probably win that game. That's how Leader works. So I think that's a sick combo. And I'm telling you right now, if you were watching this video, I'm telling you right now, Death Wave is back. Death Wave is going to be so good, I think. Basically, you just destroy stuff all game. You have Death in hand. You play Wave on 5. You play Death plus Leader. You copy whatever they decide to play. You have a 12 power Death as well to top you off. And boom, you win the video game. I feel like that is going to be such a sick combo with this card now. Another one is Negative, dude. Now it's only at 2 power. You can flip this. It's a 2/6. It's going to copy whatever the highest power card is your opponent plays. Mr. Negative buff. Oh my gosh. Crazy. I think this is so sick, but also so concerning because people hated this card before, and it's like getting close there. I mean, of course, you know, your opponent might not play very powerful things, maybe synergistic things with their deck, or they play multiple things, or, you know, there's ways to work around it. But let's face it, this is not the worst card in the game anymore. Not by a long shot. This is a very viable card, and I expect to see this card run in quite a few decks moving forward. So I would start sticking Leader in to your decks and seeing if it works or not. So there you go. Those are the balance changes. Guys, stay tuned. We are going to be covering the data mine cards, which I'm really excited to talk about because there was some newish ones that just got announced. So I'm going to be covering that very shortly in the next video. So stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.